Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how you can set up what are called risk alerts in the Rhythm dashboard here. So a risk alert allows you to receive a notification about a concerning student response. So if a student indicates a particularly low score in one of the different categories, based on the emoji they choose, you could receive an alert for that. If a student has an overall low score, so their overall score is called their tempo score. So if overall their score is low, you could set an alert for that. Or the one that we're actually going to talk more about today, if a student indicates something in the notes portion of their check-in that is concerning and perhaps needs to be passed along to someone else to investigate, we can go ahead and we can set an alert for that so that you receive notification of that note. So to do this, we're going to go over to the left-hand side of your screen, and you'll notice that as you hover over these icons, it opens up this little sidebar here. We're going to choose Risk Alert Center. When I click on that, I get my little Risk Alert Center dashboard. To create a new alert, we're going to come to the top right corner where it says plus new risk alert. When I click on that, here are those three different types of alerts that I just alluded to. So the first one is an emoji assessment alert. So if a student indicates a certain emoji on one of the questions, you could receive an alert for that. The second one is that tempo score alert. If overall the student has a particularly low score across all 5 of those different categories, you could receive an alert. And then the last one is the one we're going to focus on. If a student indicates something concerning in their little note section, you could receive an alert for that. So we're going to set that one up right now. So I'm going to choose Note Alert. You'll notice that I get this little pop-up. The first thing we're asked to do is title our alert. Now in this case, I'm only going to have one big alert set up. It's going to be for all of my students. It's going to have the same kind of criteria that will alert me. So I'm just going to call this one Note Alert. But if you wanted to be alerted for specific things in different ways, then you might have several note alerts. You'd want to be more specific in your titling. It's probably the case that you will have one, so note alert should work there. All right, the next thing we need to do is select who we are going to be monitoring, so who we want to receive those notifications about. So this first little sentence here says, if select meets the following conditions. This word select is actually a hyperlink, so I can click on this and it's going to show me all of my students. Now I'm in an administrator account. I don't actually have students, so I don't have anybody listed here. So on your side, you should see all of your students listed. So you could come in and you could set an alert for all of your students, in which case you would select all and it will automatically check off all their names. Or you could kind of dig into your classes. So if you only want to set up an alert for your 4th period, you could do that by coming over to classes. You'll select that 4th period class here, and then you'll click continue. So you'll select your students first. The next thing you want to do is tell it what to monitor. So what are we looking for? What is it going to alert you about? So you have 2 different kind of options here. So the top option, what it does is it will go ahead and read through, so using artificial intelligence, it's going to read through those student notes and flag what they call a strong negative sentiment. So that's kind of just a vague idea there. So you can check this off. And you actually have the option to also check off down below. So here we get a little bit more specific. So we could monitor students who enter a note that contains specific words or phrases. So I'm going to go ahead and check off that box. It's automatically going to check the one below it. So it is using that artificial intelligence to correct spelling and grammar errors that our students might make. So it's kind of catching those as it goes. But the coolest thing here is that now I can come over next to where it says contains words or phrases like. I'm going to click that little select button. And you'll notice that it has, they've already brainstormed a bunch of different possibilities for words that could be concerning. And so I'm just going to scroll down. You'll see a lot in here and you can read through on your own. There's a lot of really concerning words in here. Okay. And so what you could do is you could choose specific words if you're monitoring for specific feelings, or you could select all, which is probably the case for you. So I'm going to select them all, but here's the really cool part. We just selected words that are in English. Now, granted, I was scrolling through, I did see a couple of Spanish words, but in general, they're all in English. But if you'll notice that up at the top, I have the option to also look for words that are in Spanish. And so when I click that little drop down, I can select Spanish. And some of those were already selected kind of automatically, but you'll notice there are a lot more words here. So I can go ahead and select all of those Spanish words as well. So now it's going to look for both those English and Spanish words. If you think of other words that you don't see listed here, you can always use the plus button to add them. So if you have another word that you'd like it to look for, you could add it manually. Again, you can do that in English and in Spanish. And that's just looking for words. You can also switch over to phrases here. So I have all of those words selected both in English and Spanish. Now I'm going to come over to phrases. And I'm going to do the same thing. So these are some phrases in Spanish that could be concerning. I'm going to select all of those. And then I'm going to come up to my little drop down. I'm going to switch it back to English. And I'm going to select all of these. So they're just variations of words that would be concerning. So now I have all of the Spanish and English words, all of the Spanish English phrases selected. I'm going to click continue. Okay. Now I want to make sure that this little toggle here points to or. If I have it pointing to and, it's going to need it to be flagged as a strong negative sentiment and contain words or phrases. So it's going to be really hard to catch things that students might say in their check-ins that could be concerning, because if it isn't deemed as having a strong negative sentiment, but it still contains the word, frustrated, then it's not going to actually flag you if it's on and. So we don't want it on and, we want to keep it on or. It's either going to look, if it has a negative sentiment, it will send you an email, or if it contains one of those words, it will send you an email, or whatever you choose for your type of alert. And we'll get to that right now. Okay, so now the next step is to decide who is going to receive this alert and how. And so next to alert, you'll notice that word recipients. Again, this is hyperlinked. So when we click on this, we get to choose who is going to receive this alert. So likely you're going to want to make sure your own name is checked off. And then you can come in and you can choose other teachers and other administration to receive this alert as well. So you may want to check with your specific campus admin to see if there are other people that they would like flagged. Now I know that a lot of campuses have their own admin setting up their own risk alerts. So this may not be necessary, but it might be a good idea to check with them. I'm going to click continue. So I selected myself. Next to that, I get to choose the type of alert I receive. So I have 3 different options here. I can receive an alert in the app. That means that I would need to open up Rhithm and come to my Risk Alert Center to see that alert. I can also choose to receive an email. And then my third option will push a notification via the web. So I could select all 3, or if you know that email is going to be enough, you could just select that one. So you have, or actually it's going to keep in-app selected. So you can just select those 2. But it's kind of up to you and how you plan to look for those notifications. Okay, and then the last option allows me to choose when I want to receive those notifications. So you can indicate certain hours where you would like to receive that email or that in-app notification. And just one thing to keep in mind, if a student has a risk alert, or they do their check-in and there's something deemed risky in there, and they do that check-in at 9:45 in the morning, you're not going to receive that email until the next time that you indicate. So if you say 10 a.m., you should receive that email at 10 a.m. But if you only selected 9 a.m., you're not going to get it until the following day. So you want to kind of keep that in mind when you're choosing your times here. I would recommend choosing all of the times that you are on contract, just to make sure you're not missing anything. All right. And then once you've chosen your times and all of your other criteria are set up, you're just going to click Save. Okay, so now that that's been saved, when you get those risk alerts, you should see them in your Risk Alert Center. If you wanted to change anything about that alert, you can do that by coming up to Manage Alerts. When you click on that, you should see that alert that you just made. So here's the alert right here. And you can come over to actions and you can edit that. So all of those different settings that we just set up are things that you can change in the future. So if you recognize, oh my goodness, there's somebody else who I need to add, another recipient, you can come back to recipients, add that person, and then just make sure you save your risk alert. Okay, so that is risk alerts. I do want to show you one other thing. I know this video is lengthy. I want to show you one other thing you can do to set up notifications. So risk alerts will send you notifications for specific things. So just for risks, that's in the title. If you come over to your settings, which is your last option in that sidebar, you do have the option to turn on notifications for every single time a student enters a note. And so this is up to you whether you want to do this or not. But if you have students who are only using that note feature to share important information, this might be a good idea, whether it be positive or negative. You can come over to your settings again, and then you'll notice all of your different categories at the top. You'll come to notifications, and then that last checkbox is the one that allows you to get an email every time a student enters a note. So that might be something you might want to consider doing. But again, it might be overwhelming to receive all those emails in your inbox, so that's up to you. You'll just click save to save that notification if that's something you want to do. And now you're all set. All right, so if you have any questions about risk alerts or setting up this notification feature in your settings, please reach out to me, so Kelly Cheatham, or to somebody on your campus who is supporting your use of Rhythm.